let's learn about abstract art! So, what is abstract art anyways? Well, it's kind of a hard art style to define. So, to help us out, I have put together a road map. Let us look at our road map. Right, at the top it says, Understanding Abstract Art Road Map. Then there is a pink arrow that points to a question mark, because this is where you are currently at, where you don't quite understand what abstract art is. Then there are 5 dots, and then there's a framed abstract art at the end. So this is our journey that we are going to take today to understand what abstract art is. I hope you brought some extra food, because the journey, my friends, will be long and interesting. Let us begin our journey! The first stop is realism art. So this is where we are currently at. So what does realism look like? Well, I'm glad you asked. Realism art basically looks like what you're trying to make it look like. So let's say you walked into a building and there were all these people chilling in this building and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to paint a picture of them and I'm going to make it look real. There you go, realism. Now I'm pretty sure you recognize this lovely lady on the right. Her name is Mona Lisa, and she is done in the realism style. So we've got realism. Let's move on our map to impressionism. This is where we are at. Alright, so this style of art, impressionism, gives you the impression of what you want something to look like. So it doesn't look 100% real, and that is intentional here. So it kind of looks spotty or painty or kind of dreamlike. It's giving you the impression of what your subject is. Our next stop, post-impressionism. Post-impressionism is a lot like impressionism in my opinion. It was kind of hard for me to figure out the difference between the two of them, but when I researched further, I found out that post-impressionism uses different color schemes. So basically imagine an impressionist artist. They go to where they are painting and they paint what they see in their own style using the same colors that they see in front of them. Post-impressionist artists tend to elaborate on color scheme and add additional colors that they might not actually see in front of them. Here are some examples of post-impressionism. So both of these paintings were done by Vincent van Gogh, and you can see that they are definitely done in the impressionist style. You see all the paint strokes, the brush strokes, you see lots of movement, and you can tell what these are pictures of, but they are definitely in the impressionist style. It's giving you the impression. Now these paintings, they were given more vivid colors to help them stand out a little bit more. So this is post-impressionism. Let us move on to the next style. And here we are at FAUVISM. We are getting closer to abstract art. So let's look at some Fauvist pieces of art to understand what this movement is all about. Similar to Impressionism, Fauvism gives you the impression of what the subject is all about. You can definitely look at these two pieces and you can tell that one is a landscape and one is a portrait. But Fauvism takes color to the extreme. They definitely add colors that are not represented in the subjects that they have painted. And basically, Fauvist art is getting further and further away from what realist art looks like. And then we are at our last stop before our final destination, and it is Cubism. So, basically you took some baby steps. You went from realism, what looks real, to giving you an idea, giving you more of an idea, getting a little bit crazier, and now it's going to get real different. So let's look at Cubist art. Cubism is taking a subject and manipulating it in a great way. So looking at my two examples, I have a portrait of a woman on the left, and I have Winnie the Pooh on the right. Now, if I compare them to their actual images, they don't really look the same. They look very different. So, with Cubism, you see different shapes appearing and different color schemes appearing, and it is very altered from the original. And we are there! We've made it! Woo! We are now at abstract art. So, along this journey, we started with art that looks exactly like what you're trying to make it look like, and then we are slowly but surely distorting it and abstracting it. So let's take a look at some abstract art examples. Abstract art does not have to look like anything. It can be random lines, random shapes, random colors, all put together to create a final composition. So, abstract art can be completely random, or it can look like something. So for example, you can have a picture of a person that is abstracted. You could have a picture of a landscape that's abstracted. It could all fall into that category. Let's take a look. Here are two portraits that are done in the abstract style. You can definitely see that they are portraits, but they are done in such a way that makes them abstract. Let's move on to an abstract landscape. Check out this abstract landscape. So this could actually fall into the post-impressionist category as well, but it's taking a landscape and it's abstracting it. You can still kind of see what it's supposed to be of, but really it's pretty blobby. This is a painting done by Mr. Jackson Pollock, and he does abstract painting in a post-expressionism sort of way, which means he expresses his emotions on canvas by throwing paint, which is very interesting. And here is a abstract sculpture. This is actually called Cloudgate, but you guys probably have seen it before, and you know it as the Bean in Chicago. So this is an abstract sculpture. So my friends, with all of that being said, you are challenged to create something abstract yourself. If you want to make a picture of something in particular, go for it. But it should be abstracted. So you can kind of tell what it's a picture of, but you use different colors or shapes and you manipulate the content in a specific way. So let's take a look at some examples. Alright, these are just some examples. You don't have to do any of this stuff. It's just some ideas. You could take lines and go all over the place and color in the shapes that they make. You could fill your paper with lots of different paint colors and add different textural lines on top to fill the space to create something abstract. If you want to draw something in particular, you get it, it's a cat. You could fill up the space with what you're trying to draw and color it in random different colors and add different textural lines and shapes. Or you could even make something three-dimensional. This is a paper sculpture where it takes lots of different pieces of paper, you fold and manipulate them and glue them down to create a sculpture. So these are all suggestions, these are different ideas. You don't have to go with any of them. You could totally and completely wing it. But I do want to see some idea and thought behind these ideas. So make sure you're thinking about them and go to town. Have some fun. The pressure is off with your abstract creations, and I can't wait to see what you create.